Sometimes the most powerful lessons, they don't come from some textbook or a planned lecture. Nope. They come from these totally unscripted, raw human moments. Today, we're going to break down one of those moments when a simple question at a film festival led to this incredible piece of wisdom about empathy that is, honestly, for every single one of us. So picture this. We're at the Toronto International Film Festival. Think glamour, flashing cameras, a ton of press, really high expectations. It is pretty much the last place on earth you'd expect a truly raw, emotional, and honest conversation to just happen. And then, right in the middle of a Q&A session, someone in the audience asks Angelina Jolie for advice. But it's not about her movies or acting or fame. It's about loss. This person had just lost a friend to a disease, and they wanted to know, how do you handle that? What do you do? And her answer, wow. It wasn't just an answer for that one person in the audience. It turned into a universal lesson for all of us on how we can actually truly support the people we love when they're going through the absolute worst of times. All right, let's dive into this. So first things first, we really need to get the context here. What sparked this whole thing? It all kicked off at the world premiere of Jolie's new film. So there she is, on stage for the Q&A after the movie. Questions are flying, pretty standard stuff, and then someone in the audience just asks for real guidance. You gotta imagine, asking something that vulnerable, that personal, in a huge room full of strangers, that takes a lot of courage. And you could just see it hit her. The question immediately strikes a chord. She gets visibly emotional, starts tearing up, and her mind goes straight to her own mother, Marceline Bertrand, who she lost to cancer when she was only 56. Right away, you know this isn't going to be some generic rehearsed answer. This is coming from a deeply personal place. Okay, so let's get to the core of this. This is where that personal pain turns into a really powerful insight about empathy, and it's something that came directly from her mother's own experience. I mean, this is a central question, isn't it? We've all been there. Someone you love is sick, and you feel so helpless. You want to do the right thing, say the right thing, but what is that? Jolie's answer gives us a really clear path. And to explain it, Jolie shared the exact words her mother said to her once. Her mom had just come from a dinner, and she was frustrated, saying this exact phrase. Imagine that, your whole identity, everything you are, suddenly gets erased and replaced by your illness in everyone else's eyes. And that is the lesson. It's so simple, but it's so profound. Her advice was, ask them about everything else. Ask them about their day, what movie they just saw, something funny their kid did. The goal is to see them beyond the diagnosis, to remind them and to remind yourself that they are still a whole person and they are still living.
Now, to really feel the full weight of this advice and to understand Jolie's reaction, you have to look at the family history behind it. This wasn't just a one-time tragedy for her. This has been a generational struggle.
Her entire perspective is shaped by this staggering history of loss. The disease took her mother. It took her grandmother. It also took her aunt. So when that person in the audience asked their question, you can see why it was so immediate, so resonant for her. It carries so much weight. And her personal fight becomes even clearer when you look at this. She pointed out that by the time her mother and grandmother were her age, they were already in chemotherapy. So after she found out that she carried the BRCA1 gene, she made the incredibly public and proactive decision to have a preventative double mastectomy and then a few years later to have her ovaries removed. So when you're faced with all of that history, that reality, Jolie's message becomes about more than just giving advice. It's about a fundamental choice we all have in how we respond to hardship. This is such a wild statement, but think about it. She explained that in those darkest times, talking about loss and fear, that's when people truly came together. That's when they hugged, when they really connected. It's this idea that in the face of so much darkness, you suddenly deeply appreciate the light of a simple day or just the warmth of another person. So at the end of the day, hardship gives us a fork in the road. It presents a choice. We can go down one path where we slow down, feel paralyzed, and just worry constantly about what's coming next. Or we can choose the other path. We can choose to make the absolute most of this life, to lean on each other for support, and to truly appreciate every single moment we have. And that's really the final message here. It's all about unity. These awful struggles, they don't have to be isolating. They're part of being human. And the way through it all, she suggests, is by giving each other grace, by supporting each other, and by remembering that we are all in this together, just trying to find our way. And that really leaves us with one final thought to carry with us. The goal isn't to avoid the hard days. That's impossible. The goal is to transform how we experience them. So the question is, how can we, in our own lives, find those lovely moments of connection and appreciation, especially when things are at their toughest? That is the real lesson from this one unscripted moment.